Friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is Alan, and today we continue our How to Survive series by going back to the magical world of Harry Potter. Why do we keep doing Harry Potter videos? Well, when I'm sitting on my couch writing scripts, there's always Harry Potter marathons on cable TV. For those of you youngins out there who don't know what cable TV is, this was an old-fashioned technology where the little people inside of the TV box get to decide what you watch and when you watch. The Harry Potter movies also bring me back to my childhood. And for all of you youngins out there who don't understand what a childhood is, it's that terrifying period of time you're undergoing right now that will eventually shape how messed up of an adult you will become. But yeah, as a kid I didn't do well at school, I hated my teachers, and I thought school was boring and pointless. And it kinda was. I do YouTube now. But Hogwarts was always a really cool alternative. A world I could escape into. On top of that, Harry Potter, Garfield comics, and ESPN magazine fulfilled my summer reading requirements. But I was a stupid kid. Where I saw magic and adventure, now as an adult, I only see a poorly run school full of children running around with the magical equivalent of handguns. Which is why we're going to have to teach you how to survive Hogwarts. And because Hogwarts, or going to Hogwarts, is not really a battle, more like an ongoing war, we're going to change up the format a little bit from our usual episodes. Now, one of the first things you'll experience when you come to Hogwarts is the sorting ceremony. A lot of youngins get anxiety about this process because the house you're chosen to join will greatly affect who you're going to be around and live with for the next 7 years, if you don't die in the process. But the truth is, you actually have some say in the matter, and you can help suggest to the hat which house you would rather be in. For instance, during my sorting ceremony, the hat told me I was either Ravenclaw material or Gryffindor material. I obviously chose Gryffindor, knowing the houses pretty well. And if you do get the opportunity to choose houses, I recommend you do the same. Now, on this channel, we talk a lot about not being a hero and getting yourself into unnecessarily risky situations. But that doesn't mean you don't want to surround yourself with heroes, especially in a place as dangerous as Hogwarts. Now, Gryffindor is considered the house known for courage, bravery, and kindness. These are the kind of qualities you want to look for in your friends, but this also means your fellow housemates will be constantly breaking the rules. But just because something is a rule doesn't necessarily mean it's going to protect you from anything. A lot of times rules are created by very, very stupid people, and then there are also rules that were created to prevent stupid people from hurting themselves. Generally, Gryffindor students are smart enough to determine which rules are the stupid ones and pointless to follow. For instance, it's a good idea to venture out as much as possible and explore the school grounds even after hours, because Hogwarts is full of secrets and hidden areas that might help your overall goal to survive. Another great thing about Gryffindor students is they're not very likely to shoot up the place, which unfortunately is something you have to worry about because everyone has a freaking wand, and a good percentage of the student body are hormonal, moody teenagers. The Slytherin kids are going to be the most ambitious and most likely to mess with you or try to sabotage whatever you're doing, but they most likely won't murder you. But if they don't like you, they will beat you within an inch of your life. Plus, all those crazy ambitious Slytherins will feed off of each other, creating a really unpleasant environment. But being in Slytherin might help you be prepared for what the real world will actually be like. Ravenclaw is going to be full of the most brilliant and intelligent, and consequently, also the most mentally unbalanced, disconnected, and low empathy individuals. Ravenclaws treasure intelligence and rationale over human feelings and emotions, and to be honest, Ravenclaw scares me more than any of the other houses. For one, their house is structured with almost no rules because they believe in self-governance. Ravenclaws are very likely to have a superiority complex and feel disconnected with the rest of the student population due to their higher intelligence. They're also more likely to dehumanize their fellow classmates and see them more as playthings rather than human beings. If the undead suddenly rises from the graveyards of Hogsmeade, it might be a Slytherin, but just as easily a Ravenclaw. But what makes a Ravenclaw more dangerous than a Slytherin is that Slytherins are pretty predictable. They're ambitious and want power, but Ravenclaws are generally just bored and looking for something to do. Hufflepuff is nice, I guess, if you just want to hang around and coexist. They are the most accepting house. Think woke and PC individuals that are actually tolerable and not trying to control the entire world and how other people think. Everyone in Hufflepuff will be very pleasant, but if things do go down, you're also going to be surrounded by a bunch of hippies who might not be the best at fighting. The reality is Hogwarts is going to be a dangerous place, and even if you are extremely competent and careful, you most likely will face death numerous times during your time there. Whether it's Hagrid's magical creatures class, or a potion mixing experiment gone wrong, or some ill-advised past curfew adventure into the depths of the castle, there is basically no way to prevent yourself from facing danger unless you lock yourself in the common room and don't really want to have any fun. At that rate, you're probably better off going back to your own boring school in the real world. So, if danger is going to happen no matter what, surround yourself with heroes that can save you. Now, the problem, of course, is not all of us can join Gryffindor. Some of us are truly cowards, and it's usually the ones that talk a really big game. But in order to be surrounded by heroes, you'll also have to give back a little bit. Most of us do have a little bit of Gryffindor inside ourselves, we just need to find it. So it's perfectly reasonable to try to join Gryffindor and kind of grow into that position. Now, some classes in Hogwarts are useless, others are interesting, and some are mandatory if you want to stay alive. In your first year of Hogwarts, you'll have to take Transfiguration, Charms, Potions, History of Magic, Defense Against the Dark Arts, Astronomy, and Herbology. Astronomy is meh, and the History of Magic is interesting, but it's the other 5 you're really going to want to focus on. Especially Defense Against the Dark Arts and Charms. Learning how to use the Shield Charm Protego is a good start, along with some more offensive spells like Stupefy, which can stun, and Expelliarmus, which can disarm an opponent. Although disarming someone is kind of unnecessary, you're better off just knocking them out. Study your spellbook constantly and practice your incantations and wand movements until everything becomes second nature. You'll never know when a werewolf breaks into the castle, or a Ravenclaw loses it and starts using the forbidden curse on people in the lunchroom. You shouldn't have to think about what spells you're gonna use, you should be firing them instinctively at any threat. Again, I cannot stress how dangerous Hogwarts is. Everyone above the age of 11 is carrying, essentially, a gun. Now, there are certain spells and magic you can't really learn about until you're older. Some are just completely forbidden. But again, you should view each rule independently and decide whether you want to break them or not. The ability to apparate will get you away from the most dangerous situations, whether it's avoiding an incoming spell momentarily so you can counterattack, or just vanishing to another side of the country. Now, technically, you need a license to apparate. This was started sometime in the 1920s. You see, apparating is quite difficult to pull off, and if you mess up, you might leave a part of your body behind. If you are caught by the Ministry of Magic, you might be fined, but I'd rather take a fine than get eaten by a basilisk. So instead of spending your first year in Hogwarts looking up the sky in astronomy class, do something useful with your time, maybe even learn a forbidden curse. The Imperious Curse is a pretty cool one. It allows you to control other people. The Cruciatus Curse is for the sick individual who likes torturing people, but Avada Kedavra, the killing curse, is the one that's worth learning. Like we keep saying for the millionth time, every student has a wand, and if one starts going crazy, you're going to want a little extra stopping power. After all, if you get into a gunfight, if your enemy is firing live rounds at you, you're not going to fire back at them with non-lethal rubber bullets. Plus, there are plenty of larger foes that just simply can't be stunned away. Now, that's not to say you should be using forbidden curses willy-nilly, because that will attract a lot of attention, and that will decrease your chance of survival for sure. There are also hundreds of lesser-known spells and charms that can go a long way to surprise your foe or potential attacker. So if there is anything you should obsess over, it's being great with your wand. Hermione had the right idea. This is a great responsibility, and you really owe it to yourself. If you decide to go to somewhere as dangerous as Hogwarts, you gotta be prepared. Now, another class you'll be forced to take as a young wizard or witch is Broom Flying class. It essentially is like driver's ed for magical people. Honestly, though, I would stay away from broom flying. It's kind of like riding a motorcycle. It's definitely a superior way of traveling around. It's a lot more fun. You can see the world in spectacular ways, but it's also not the safest form of transportation. Definitely learn how to fly a broom, but you're probably better off learning other ways of moving around using magic. Also, stay away from Quidditch. That game is a death wish. I would recommend any new student of Hogwarts try to get their hands on the Marauder's Map or an invisibility cloak. But then again, not everyone is Harry Potter. The Marauder's Map is basically a map of the entire school that shows where everyone is. It's useful for sneaking around and probably not impossible to make. Might be worth looking into. The invisibility cloak is on another level of magic and most likely will be very hard to get. It's considered one of the Deathly Hallows, and supposedly it was gifted to a wizard by the Grim Reaper himself, if you believe in that sort of thing. But there are other types of spells and potions that can conceal your appearance if you need to. And even without the Marauders map, it's still possible to learn about all the secrets and hidden passages in the castle. To do so, you just need to befriend the individuals that no one else notices, like the house elves, ghosts, and the paintings. They're part of Hogwarts as well, and most have been there longer than even the headmaster and teachers. If you can gain their trust, you'll gain access to all of Hogwarts' secrets. Lastly, if you do want to join some extracurricular activity, I recommend starting an illegal paramilitary organization, especially when you have maniacs like Voldemort or Grindelwald running around. Find trusted and talented individuals and train with them. This way you can get better at dueling and at the same time develop some trusted allies. The idea is no matter where you are in Hogwarts, should something crazy go down like a wild animal attack, you'll have backup, or at least someone who can distract the threat while you carefully run away. Magic is dangerous, and should you choose the path of becoming a wizard or witch, make sure you are prepared. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. And as usual, my name is Alan, reminding you that life is a movie and you are the protagonist.